When Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was first released, the PS1, N64, and Dreamcast were still in stores. Things are very different now, just a couple months removed from the arrival of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, a game that has been 10 years in the making. Much of what you know and love about the Marvel Capcom franchise is back. Hectic action, hyper combos, and the now iconic 3-on-3 team battling is all here, refined and tweaked after a decade of play. Capcom has been careful to not fix what's not broken, but all the same, changes have been made. While there are still 4 attack buttons, the concept of light and heavy punches and kicks has been thrown out in favor of light, medium, and heavy attacks. There's also a 4th special attack button that has some fairly diverse applications, including the ability to pop up your opponent for air combos. The changes in the attack configuration also means your allies are called in by holding the assist buttons rather than quickly pressing both light or both heavy attack buttons. It seems the developer has been a bit more focused on the casual elements of the game, attempting to make sure those new to the genre or put off by its complexity have an accessible way of playing the game. Enter Simple Mode. Simple Mode is an option that, as you might have guessed, simplifies the control scheme. Any player can select the option before selecting their 3 combatants, and your opponent is free to do the same, or not. Simple Mode remaps the control scheme from being based on the strength of attack to having a basic attack, special move, special attack, and hyper combo. So rather than determining whether you're making a light, medium, or heavy punch, the game will simply escalate up that chain as you hit the basic attack button repeatedly. Likewise, complicated joystick movements and specific button inputs are no longer needed for more advanced moves. There is still some variation between characters as to what needs to be pressed and how, but it's undeniable Simple Mode makes the entire concept of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 a whole lot plainer. In our experience though, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The remapped buttons remind us a bit of Super Smash Bros. Even in Simple Mode, the game is relatively easy to learn but will still take plenty of time to master. It will no doubt be interesting to see if Simple Mode players can hold their own against Normal Mode players, particularly since Simple Mode not only strips away the complications of the control scheme, but many of the special attacks that come with that extra complexity. Another new addition to Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is the XFactor mode, which is a Berserker-like mode accessible once per match to any one character in the game. This mode, which enhances your character's strength and speed, is affected by how you're doing in your particular match. The more characters you have knocked out of a round, the better the boost you'll receive. The roster in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is remarkable because half of the roster consists of characters you'd never expect to see in the franchise. While we all knew Thor would finally see his fighting game debut, whoever thought we'd see Dormammu or Arthur? But what's more remarkable about this cast is the diversity of playstyles between each character. No two are similar, and if you assume some, like Wolverine and X-23, are simply clones of each other, you'd be very, very wrong. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is no exception to that concept. This is very much the same insanity that first made its way into arcades and homes 10 years ago, and yet it's very much a different game. For more on Marvel vs. Capcom 3, stay tuned to IGN.
Burn the cinder! Hyper combo KO!